morning and welcome to a very exciting vlog. I am getting the keys to our house today and I'm getting them this afternoon, so this morning I'm just kind of waiting. There's not a lot I can honestly do until we get the actual keys, so I took the day off work anyway. I'm going to be reading, so this will be a reading vlog, a moving vlog. I'm really not sure, to be honest, but I'm excited nonetheless. But as for what I'm reading, I am currently halfway through The Name of All Things, which is the second Ruin of Kings book, or the Chaos of Dragons book. And then I'm also still listening to Iron Gold on audio, and I'm very much in and out with that book. Even though I've read it before and enjoyed it, it's just not the right mood or headspace for me right now. And so I keep putting it on hold. And then ideally I'd like to start Check Please as well, but I'm not really sure how that's gonna go given that I've got like 300 pages or more of this to get through today or this weekend or in general. I'd like to finish it as soon as possible because it's the 9th of September today and I haven't finished a book all month, so I would like to get one done. Also, because we are moving, obviously my filming location is going to get an update, and it's really hard for me to film at this location because there's a lot of people going in and out and I only have a small window of space to film. So I'm really excited to set up a new spot in our new house to film, so that'll be coming too. And in this vlog I do want to pack up a couple of books, not a lot because we've still got to paint the house and everything, so I can't settle anywhere properly, but I want to have a few books as kind of like a little mini background of sorts so I can film elsewhere while we are getting the house ready, because filming here stresses me out. So I don't know what this vlog is going to bring you, I don't know how long this vlog is going to be, but nonetheless I'm excited.
Take some good snaps.
Oh yeah. Look at our fireplace. I cannot wait to put bookshelves in this room.
Scusi.
Oh, here you go. Open the door.
Ah, the living room.
The best room. Oh, that's cool.
That is nice. Sunlight.
It's so cozy.
Oh man.
You make me the decaf.
You want a coffee?
Yeah, it has been such an intense couple of hours. But we have the dishwasher going, somewhat cleaner now.
We put things in drawers.
Things in drawers.
Look at that.
There you go.
Well done, us.
And cutlery, look at that. We've figured out with the paint swatches over there on that wall what samples we want, because this is way too white.
Yeah, like you.
And then after we've got the samples for the walls, we are going to soap the entire thing, do an undercoat maybe on all the walls, paint everything, and then it's gonna feel more like a home after that, I think. I am really enjoying this area. This area with the fireplace, it looks cozy and there's not even furniture in it yet.
Coffee.
We are now preparing for painting. There are swatches on this wall, masking tape down here. It is such a slow process. I'm very tired. More painting prep in here. Dave is in the cupboard.
Oh, you're filming me? Hold on. I need to be a proper tradie. Let me just get my butt cracking.
No! Hello, it is now Tuesday and I don't have my book on me, but I've got it at Dave's parents' house. And I am about halfway through it and I'm really liking it. The only thing that keeps tripping me up is the fact that in the first book we followed Kieran, and in the second book we're partly following Kieran, but the same narrative device has been employed in book 2 that was in book 1, and that is, here are some characters but here's also a reflective storyline that's taking place before the characters met up with each other. Sorry, I'm really struggling with the sun here. It's a whole time trying to figure out where to film in this vlog. I'm trying my best. And so with the characters meeting up in this tavern and telling their story, it is interesting to me, but I prefer hearing about Kieran, and I'm hearing about this other character that has met up with Kieran. So it's intriguing in terms of world building and character introduction because there's a bunch of cool characters that have been introduced, but I still want to just hear about Kieran, and then I also want to hear about a character that was in book 1 that has been discussed in book 2 but hasn't actually shown up on page in book 2, and I'm like, where did they go? Because I want some interaction in here. So I'm liking it, I'm enjoying it, but the fact that it's a big book makes me feel like I'm not reading it fast enough because we're midway through September and I haven't finished a book. I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, and we've just bought a house that we're cleaning up and painting, so in the grand scheme of things, I think I'm doing all right. I wish I could do a little bit better, but I think I'm doing not terribly. And then I've also got Check Please, which is on my cart here. However, I want to read this, but then I remember, oh, I have time to read now, and I'm at Dave's parents, or I'm at my parents, or I'm here and I've left the book elsewhere. So just coordinating being at the same place as the book has been a struggle. But I'm aiming to get through this as well, given that it's short. Maybe I can actually finish a book in September, but we'll see. Oh, I didn't tell you because I haven't really had time in the vlog, but I'm really glad that at the beginning of the vlog, I took that day off work because the bank just messed me around, and our settlement, which is when we get the keys for the property, and the same day that the old owners of the house get all of our money as a deposit, the bank were like, well, we haven't received your transfer, even though I did it as a same-day transfer. So the bank lost my entire life savings for a few hours, which was very stressful. I don't know how that happens. The people that I talked to didn't know, but it all clicked over. We all got the keys. Everyone was paid when they should have been, so it worked out okay. But that was a very stressful Friday. So I think because my life has just been hectic, stressful, and a lot of location changes lately, I think I'm doing okay. I mean, I could be doing better. I wish I'd read more this month because I've read pages but not actually finished anything. I think I've been doing okay in the grand scheme of things, and you know, I'm trying my best, and that's all we can do. I have a surprise. I finally got my braces off. Also, all day we have been scrubbing the walls, and I'm now pooped. And it's only halfway through the day. Dave is cooking bacon. It's gonna be a good break. I know I only just talked to you, but I feel like I need to give an actual sit-down update that's kind of proper. So sugar soaping means to clean all of the walls before we get around to painting them. So we've taken all the curtains off the front walls, we've soaped most of them, now there's just one left, and then after that we're going to paint. So once we paint that room, we can actually start moving stuff in, because at the moment we're kind of living as a hybrid situation. We're going back and forth from Dave's parents' house, we're staying here over the weekends when we have time off, and then just working on the house when we can. And it feels like you're here for an entire day and you don't get anything done, even though you just don't stop. From the moment you walk in the door to the moment that you sit down, you're just busy. So it has been pretty relentless, but we expected that to happen. It's a home that needs a little bit of TLC, and before we bought it, it was vacant for about 12 months. So it needs the dusting, it needs the cleaning, it needs the scrub down, and we're effectively giving it a little facelift. So we're enjoying it. I'm actually not hating soaping all of the walls, and I thought I'd be really frustrated by it, but it's quite cathartic. And then the reason I wanted to actually sit down and film this clip is also because I got my first package at the new house, and I thought I would open it on camera and show you what it is. I got a gift card from a friend, so I've pre-ordered 2 books for release in October, and they are Law Olympus and the Atlas Paradox, but they obviously haven't arrived yet because it's still September. So this one did, and it is a rom-com. I'll open it for you. It is Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and I think this is about a wedding planner. It's a female-female romance. I'm looking forward to all of the shenanigans that are going to ensue in here. I really like a good rom-com, especially if it's queer. So I'm either going to read this to boost my reading, because reading The Name of All Things is excellent, but I feel like, I said this before, I feel like because it's such a big book that I'm just not reading it fast enough. So a rom-com will definitely be read quickly. But I also actually should probably mention, after talking about this, so I'll just put this away, I have decided to DNF a book, and I didn't expect to DNF this book. It is Iron Gold, which I previously mentioned very briefly at the start of this vlog, but it's been a very chaotic vlog, so if you missed it, that's fine. I have been reading that book for maybe a month now. The audiobook is fine. It's got the same narrator who did the first trilogy, but aside from him, there are several other voice actors introduced, and there are multiple new characters as well. And I feel like it's very neatly foreshadowed to go a particular way. but it makes me feel aggravated and alienated, because in the first book and that trilogy, it's about an entire rebellion and overthrowing of the system, whereas in this sequel series, it's got different themes, but it doesn't seem to be hitting them with a nail on the head with a protagonist at the beginning who's like forging a path for it. It feels a lot more scattered and the politics more scattered. So I'm not really connecting to it as much as I want to, because all of my in points, I'm not as enthused by them. So that's my way of saying it's making me expend effort to pick up Iron Gold. And I've known this for a while and I've just thought, oh, but I want to read it. Surely I want to read it. And it turns out that I actually don't want to read it, because if I wanted to read it, I would have been picking it up a lot more frequently. I've had ample opportunity on my commutes to work and on my lunch breaks, and I just watch YouTube videos or scroll social media instead. And that is while I'm sitting still at a desk eating a sandwich. So if I'm not actually listening to it on the time that I've actually got as a break, I'm not interested. So I'm going to put it down. I don't know. I have no idea if I'm going to actually pick it up again in the future. I'd probably say not. I don't think I will, but I would happily reread the trilogy. So, unfortunately, there is a plot twist for you. I did not expect a DNF Iron Gold, but here we are. Maybe it's just because I'm expending so much energy in every other aspect of my life right now, and I'm like, you know what? A book that is very intense and very spread out across the different planets and has multiple perspectives that you need to keep track of a lot of politics for, I just don't care enough. And I guess I am reading a very complicated fantasy right now and I'm really enjoying it, even though I don't have the time to sit down and smash out chunks of it. So I don't know, maybe it's just the style of the book of Iron Gold. I don't really need to justify the fact that I'm DNFing it, but I feel like I need to justify it to myself and work out why my brain is working this way. But regardless, I'm not going to continue Iron Gold, so that is either back on the shelf or it'll end up in an unhaul at some point. I really wanted to try rereading the second trilogy or the second series, and I've really tried. But I can't wait to finish or start Delilah Green Doesn't Care. I think that'll be fun. And I've got a whole bunch of books on my physical TBR here as well, which I did a separate video for. So I'm really looking forward to starting all the new things that are on my list. I've got to clean my house now, so I need to go. Now it's Monday, so I've spent many days on and off on this vlog, but I wanted to drop in and update you because my aim is to finish my current read by the end of today. And that is The Name of All Things, and I have 100 pages left. So I'm making good progress, and a few things have kicked up towards the end with some loose threads, or not loose threads, but obvious threads of the story coming together. And not only are the threads in this coming together, I'm actually starting to grow more interest and respect for the additional characters that this has introduced, because I thought, you know what, I just need to warm up to them, and I have. They've all got their own quirks and history, and it's interesting to read in this character's viewpoint, because in the previous book, all of the characters that Kieran interacted with, a lot of them are mentioned in here, because obviously this is a narrative style that's very similar to the first book in that it's also reflective. So because there are characters in a tavern telling their story, you get obviously past events leading up to now, and it takes place over the same span of time that Kieran took place in the first book, which was several years, because Kieran is now 20 and in the first book he was 16, so 3-4 years took place, and that's what this book is reflectively covering. And it's events adjacent to Kieran as well that impact characters that Kieran had interactions with. So it's cool to see who is doing what behind the scenes, and I'm starting to empathize, not entirely, but starting to empathize or at least understand the technical bad guys in this series, because they want things that make sense, but they're not going about it in a very morally complicit way. So they're willing to kill entire cities in order for their goals to be met. And obviously, that's a horrible thing, they're a villain, but it's interesting to see the main characters discuss this person and go, in some way I can see why they're doing it. So I appreciate that this uses archetypes and tropes that is often seen in fantasy, but I also appreciate that it makes you question them and it plays with them and subverts them. And that's honestly why I keep going back to reading this, because it's so long and it's taking me ages, but in a good way, because it's very detailed. Sometimes I do lose the thread every now and then, and I'm like, hang on a second, who is this goddess again? Who is this god heir? Who is this magic user? Like, what's going on? But in the end, it's all making sense. And when I just stop to think about it, or when I read a bit further and get more context, it makes sense. So I do like this, and I do plan on finishing it today. Often when I say that in a vlog, I end up updating you 4 or 5 days later going, guess what, I'm still reading it. But I do have time today to read this, and that is my aim. Oh yes, also as far as the house goes, we've got a couple of public holidays coming up in Australia, and then we've got the weekend. So we're going to do as much painting as possible in the front 2 rooms over the weekend and those few days off. So we are currently prepping for painting, as we have been doing for a little while. So we've got all of the edges painted. Well, not me and Dave. We're very lucky the family have really come through and pitched in when we've had responsibilities that have pulled us away. So when people have been available, they've come to the house and helped us out. So we've got the painting done around some of the edges in the front room, and I'm learning so much about houses because I now know that that's called cutting or cutting in. So we're doing that, and then we are getting a roller and painting the rest. So we're doing the undercoat and then 2 layers of top coat, and then after that we are going to be good to move in to those front 2 rooms because the heater works, we've got Wi-Fi. All we need now is an actual bed because we've been sleeping on mattresses on the floor sometimes. I just can't wait to actually feel like a human being in my own house. For the moment, it just feels very messy and very cold because we are reluctant to turn the heating on for the whole house if we're not using all of it. So it's just a work in progress. And as grateful as I am, it's very draining. Oh yes, and in addition to all the house stuff and the name of all things, I do also want to start Check Please today. So I want to read 100 pages of my current read, and then I want to start this because at least that way, instead of not finishing any books in the whole month of September, I will have managed to finish maybe 2, and then I've also DNF'd 2. So at least I'll have something to talk about if I do a September wrap up, because I was like, can I really film one if I don't have anything to actually talk about? So it's looking more and more likely that I will, which is great because I'm deeply running out of video ideas to do, and so keeping the TBR and the wrap up is a really good staple and a reliable video to do. So the fact that I thought I might have to scrap one was stressing me out. I have finally finished The Name of All Things, and that ending was very neat and clever. Just like the first book, I really love this series, but it's not quite 5 stars. And I think that's because it's so complicated with all of the world building in the lore and all of the mechanisms that one of the characters has been building up for a very long time. Everyone is kind of like pieces on his game board, and so they're trying not to fulfill the prophecies that he is actively trying to fulfill, but because he's been manipulating things for so long, a lot of the time they just fall into his traps. So I find it really intriguing in that sense because you really don't know what's going to happen next. And there's also magical weapons, there's dragons, so it's very quintessential fantasy, and it's also very queer. Like basically all of the characters that have been introduced haven't been straight. And so a queer positive series with dragons, with demons, and with stuff that I can't predict is obviously going to be a book that I love. So I gave this a 4.5 stars. Again, not quite 5, but I think after I end up doing a reread of this series and everything in terms of the plot has fallen into place, so I'm holding less pieces in my head when I read it on a reread, I think there are going to be a lot of things that I react to and understand more deeply. So I'm looking forward to touching on this series again in the future, but for now I'm going to put it down because I haven't bought the sequel yet, even though I do want to, and it's on my wish list for Christmas when we do our Kris Kringle with a whole bunch of cousins. Everyone draws a name, everyone has a wish list, and we all pitch in to buy someone a gift. Because there's so many cousins, it saves us spending money on each person, and we just get one gift and then we all open it at the end. And my wish list inevitably has many books on it, so people who buy gifts for me, they're likely to buy this because I put the sequel on that list. So I'm giving myself a bit of a break because this series again is, I swear, Australian birds just sound like they're trying to murder things. Anyway, my point is I'm giving this series a break because as much as I love it, it just takes such a long time to wade through. So I've finished it, I've loved it, I've given it the same rating as the first book, even though it did things differently to the first book, which is what you hope for in a sequel anyway. But some of the characters that I wanted to hear from really weren't in this very much. They were more secondary, I suppose, even though they had key parts. So I'm looking forward to the sequel because I feel like the characters that I want to read about are going to be a bit more prevalent. So can't wait to continue eventually. And then I've read the first 11 pages of Check Please, and this is just delightful and hilarious already. It's about this guy named Bitty, and he loves baking and he loves hockey, and he's going to a new college, I think. And in the foreword it says Bitty just wants to bake, vlog, listen to pop music, and eventually learn to love himself, even if he doesn't know it yet. So at the start it's really about him getting to this new campus, vlogging introductory things and discovering his new team and who the teammates are, what all their nicknames are, and kind of, I guess, settling in and trying to find his place. So it's already told in a style that's very humorous and it doesn't take itself too seriously. So I think this is going to be a riot and a lot of fun. And I think that's the perfect note to basically end my vlog on. I've finished this massive chunk of a book. I've started my next read. I also have a plan to continue some audiobooks because now that I've DNF'd Iron Gold, I have space to do that. So during the rest of this week, I've got a little bit of time off. And then, like I said before, we have those public holidays. So I'm assuming that during cleaning and painting of my house, I'm going to be listening to an audiobook. So I would very much like to pick up more Becky Chambers and do a reread of her things. So The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is the audiobook I'm going to pick up next. And so honestly, I'm just quite happy with this vlog. I know it was very chaotic, so thank you for sticking with me. If you stuck around this long, maybe put a fire and a sword emoji in the comments if you stuck around this long. But thank you so much for watching this reading vlog. I'll talk to you in the comments and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.